Hey guys, thanks so much for doing this, and just being open and available like this. My question is, I uh, I was recently my car was parked on the road. A road grader came along, smashed it, totaled it, totally smashed. The insurance company wants to just tell me that they have no liability. So they just say, "Oh, get out of here." So I have to file a claim in small claims court, and I'm wondering what I need to go about that as a man versus a legal person. Right.
What is your evidence?
Well, I have an affidavit of my own. I
A
have a police
declaration of
report
your own?
declaration
Yes, sir.
rather than an affidavit.
If you wish to go at it a common law, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And then I I have a police report and photos, and also um, I have from the auto body shop that made the quote as to what the damage would be. So there's all my evidence: the recording of the event, photos of that, and the outcome.
Okay. You have the police report, and I'm guessing because you're like, this happened by one of those street sweeper type things. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's a more of a road grader. It was on a dirt road that this happened, and they come through. It was a There was snow on the ground. The road grader was acting as a snowplow.
Okay, so road grader. Now, does the police report have the other driver's information on it?
Yes,
Okay. And does the police report have the police officer's name on it who wrote it?
yes,
Okay. And does the police officer still work as a police officer?
yes. And the road grader driver is still working as a road grader driver.
Yeah, well, you don't wish to know who the you, for this you do not wish to care about the road grader driver right now. Here's what I would do, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If I were you, and this is not legal advice, I'm just answering the question that you have presented before myself as I see it right now in law, as I understand it right now. Just a disclaimer, no legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it actually worth?
Well, I paid $4,000 for the car, and this happened a month after I bought it.
Okay, what's the top amount for small claims court?
I don't know. I imagine it'd be something like 10,000.
Where are you?
Out in rural Colorado.
Rural Colorado. Okay, yeah, I would say probably somewhere around 10,000. Um, and the road grader, their insurance won't take care of it.
No, yeah, there's some Colorado Governmental Immunity Act that they referenced me to.
That
Yeah, right.
just
Nice name.
reminded me of a Fed book post I saw this week, and it said, somebody's getting the vaccine, and it's like, will this give immunity? And they go, yeah, to the vaccine company.
Right.
Uh,
Immunity
anyways,
to.
um, okay, so here's what I would do. Um, I would write to the individual who actually hit your car. So consciousness says max in Colorado is 7,500. That's actually what it's here is in South Carolina. In North Carolina, it's 10,000, and it really doesn't matter, because again, if you go to small claims courts, like if you go into the state court, And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, because I've done this, they're going to give you a hard time. Like, it's going to be a hassle. You are going to have to fight these people to do their job. And in the end, they still might not do it. But I have seen it done. Okay. So,
I have to try.
right. So what I would do is I would write to the gentleman who was actually responsible, and I would say, hey, like my property is damaged. You have been found to be the responsible party. So upon information and belief, I believe you are the responsible party. Do you wish to work this out in some kind of way? Please get back to me within 3 weeks or something. And give them an extra week or two. Letters can get lost in the mail, things happen, whatever. But my guess is that they probably will not respond. Right. And then you say, all right, hey, time 2. What do you wish to do? And now you're on the clock, because now I'm kind of going way out of my way to make this right. You're not making it easy for me after you have caused harm, injury, and loss. And put all of this stuff in your own words, please. Don't like,
oh, yeah, of course.
Try and take what I'm saying. Anyways, now I'm going to have to charge you for the inconvenience of doing this. And I would get them right around the 7,500 mark, right. Like 74.99. And if I were you, I would just do this for fun. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a second. And then I would go down. I would get in touch with the man acting as a policy enforcer who wrote the report that happened, and see what it would take for him to be down there as a third party impartial witness to put facts upon the record of the courts, and then go down there with the officer. And they're supposed to do this for you because, they're supposed to be law enforcement, but they've kind of forgotten that side of the job. And they don't do this unless they care to, which basically means they don't do anything that the state legislature doesn't tell them to. But this is the way it's supposed to work. They're supposed to be the third party impartial witness to what happened. It's like, yep, I got a call to go show up. I went there. I saw his car totaled, and that guy said he had hit it. I didn't have any reason to not believe him. Yes, I filled out the police report because I don't know if you could actually say, and for 100% fact, you cannot say that you created that document. So without the officer's testimony, there's no way to put that fact or establish that fact upon the record of the court. And then I would lay your own testimony down. That is a declaration that is to be performed and not an affidavit to be filed. That is very, very important if you wish to know the difference between law and legal land of fictitious allegations that may or may not be true. And then it's game on, okay? And you better know what you're doing. Straight up. And if they run over you in the small claims court that's actually your court, if you understand how to hold it, then I would get in touch with the high clerk. They are going to tell you that they do not have jurisdiction over the small claims court. And it's like, great. I was just expecting the judicial officer down there to act in good faith. You do have jurisdiction over an actual court of law, correct? And it's going to be almost impossible, if you don't really know your stuff, to get them to answer to you correct. But if you go and watch my channel, you can tell I have done it because I put the documentation up on my channel.
Okay.
In fact, I know for a fact that I think it's on the one where I'm talking about the jury with Gus Breton, because I'm like, he's saying I'm withholding this information from you. Whoever saw a document like this before, ever, anywhere, from any guru, ever, where a high clerk is saying we absolutely 100% have a court of law, but here's how you file in the civil law system.
Huh.
It is hilarious. And when you get the high clerk to say that in writing, and you don't necessarily have to have them say that in writing, most of the time I have just talked to them and explained what their job was and what everybody's job was in great detail. I've even had a high clerk, and Oracle can actually verify this for you. I've even had a high clerk tell me that I knew their job better than they did. Okay? And at that point, they're not going to mess with you at all, because the individual works for the state and because they are insured by the state while they are working in their state person. They are going to know 100% what they are looking at, and they will probably just talk to you if you make it that far. Okay. But at the same time, do not be guaranteed, because if I could just get a court of law, I could go execute millions of dollars worth of judgments right now.
So it's a matter of not only not simply going and filing with their court, but literally making the court happen.
Well, I
Literally
mean,
bringing them together.
here's the problem in the issue, is that there is literally no way for you to make the court happen. You got a bunch of people with guns to take over the town and enforce a court of law? Probably not.
No.
Exactly. So you can't make the court happen. Okay? And for the most part, people in society only care about themselves. And for some crazy reason, for the first time in a really long time, but all of the founding fathers wrote about this 100%, is that when your society gets to this level of lawlessness, like, the people are uneducated, and that's how they could not hold the civil government that was created for them before. And when the government goes after, like, when the government criminalizes exposing crimes, you can be pretty certain you are being ruled by criminals. And I have literally been investigated by the FBI for my Facebook channel, which literally exposes 35 or 33, I don't remember, it is somewhere in the 30s, but 30 attorneys committing a criminal conspiracy on a Zoom chat, on video, and then a judicial officer talking about writing to people in the bar association and making this all disappear. And now it's all disappeared, and the FBI cannot investigate them, but can investigate me because of a black X that I did not put there over a judicial officer's face. And that's where we're at in society right now. Okay. And unless we all learn how to love one another, because, 200 years ago, 150 years ago, even in a large way, kind of 50 years ago, people in society kind of knew that there was a certain line you did not allow the government to cross, because it's kind of like if you go and watch the video I did about what was her name, Sierra, okay, where the state steals the children, they literally kick in her door with no warrant and then make up a search warrant later and steal her children to hold over her head, basically so that they can get away with everything that they had just done. And if people would have seen that 75 years ago, everybody would have been up in arms down at the courthouse, because everybody would have understood, well, if they can just do it to her, they can do it to me. And if you go watch one of the last videos I put out about Valerie Owenby, who really, like, the district attorney who got removed from office for acting as an accessory after the fact to a man who raped her for 7 years, and they won't allow her access to a court of law to issue a warrant for facts that already appear upon their record way beyond probable cause. And if they will not uphold the law for a woman who was raped for 7 years, because instead of, actually upholding the law and issuing a warrant, they would rather give the accessory after the fact another job as a North Carolina attorney in a different county, and nobody is up in arms, and everybody thinks it won't happen to them. But literally, if they did it to her over a situation like that, just tell me a situation where they're going to uphold the law for you.
So how can
without you paying an attorney tens of thousands of dollars and hoping you overpaid the next one across the table, and then getting lucky all at the same time? Maybe you will find a privilege somewhere in the courtroom. I've actually seen it happen a lot in my younger days.
And so, do you have any recommended reading where I may be able to learn to speak up for myself? Because I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I don't have a lot of faith that anyone ever would come up in arms on my behalf. And if I were to ever be in such a situation, I would need to speak up for myself. Where can I learn about what to read? Is it only case law? What do we have?
Well, you would find it necessary and required to speak up for yourself if you found yourself in that position. And it's not so much as to what to read. It's like a lot of people say, JC, what do I need to punch into Google to learn the stuff that you know? And I'm like, you can't.
So do we go
Like,
to like major cities to the big libraries and find the law books? Is that the only place to find this info?
well, it's like, okay, so I was having a conversation about this afternoon. Like, absolutely every single courthouse all across America, except for your magistrate or small claims courts, they have to have a law library. Consciousness, they have to allow you access to a law library, even with the lockdown. And most of the time, what the law library consists of these days in most places is a subscription to Westlaw on the computer, and that's incredibly resourceful, especially if you actually know how to navigate it and how to work and look up case law. Okay. But if you don't, it's not incredibly helpful, and you wish to go to corpus juris secundum, and typically those are held in book forms. And I have a law library right downtown, and that is a set of books that they have not gotten rid of. But I cried, absolutely cried, when they got rid of their set of terms and phrases, which was like an entire section that you will see in the pictures of the law library, that I did in one of the first like 13 videos, where I'm talking about why attorneys do not know this stuff and how big the law library is. And terms and phrases were legal terms and phrases. And it's not the terms that interested me so much. It was the phrases like incident to manner, that if you actually understand it and how to use it,
Hmm.
is incredibly powerful.
Manner, as in how you conduct yourself, like not besides the actual words you speak, but just your demeanor.
Okay. Manor, noun, 1828 dictionary. The land belonging to a lord or a nobleman, or so much land as a lord or great personage formerly kept in his own hands for the use and substance of his family. In these days, a manor rather signifies the jurisdiction and royalty incorporeal than the land or site. For a man may have a manor in gross, as the law terms it, that is the right and interest of a court baron, with the prerequisites thereto belonging. And if you can understand that without going down to a law library and looking everything up in words and phrases and come back here and explain it to me, I will give you $5,000 I don't have.
Uh, uh-huh.
That's what a manor is.
Okay.
Okay. And I got that from a court baron. Do you know what a court baron is?
A court baron?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard that.
Okay. So a court baron is a baron's court. Who would have thought? A
Hmm.
court incident to a manor. You see, incident to a manor. Incident to manor. You probably heard me say that the first time before
Yes.
you asked what the word manor meant.
Huh.
And that's just kind of like just a few of my incredibly buried, well kept secrets. And here it is, everybody. Because if we don't get together, nobody will ever see it be used again. And I am here to tell you firsthand, I have seen it. It is not a magical unicorn. when you do the things that we talk about on this show, because even though I can almost guarantee you, and I'm not going to guarantee you because people have surprised me, and every now and then you see somebody with an actual conscience and you see the illumination draw through and the illumination slip away. Okay. So I'm not going to say you can't see it. All right. I'm just saying it's incredibly, incredibly rare. And we are so, it's basically already gone. Okay. But at the same time, when they are coming after you and they are attacking you and you use law, for the most part, they will not execute their attack if you perform law correctly. And that's what I'm kind of saying with this not being a magical unicorn. Okay. Like, if you go and look at what happened to Philip Kemp, and you can explain to me why the judge who locked him up for 30 days for taking his kids camping also wrote an order to let him out like 2 weeks early, right before Father's Day, without explaining, and this is with nobody moving the court except for the fact that Philip Kemp sent in a writ of habeas corpus to the Supreme Court of Tennessee. If you can explain why Don Ash made the decisions he made without that happening and without the ideas behind it and without this magical unicorn that the legal society likes to call you sovereign citizenness, common law, because you actually believe somewhere that you had rights, because even when you were growing up in their school systems and their educational systems, they taught you at some point in time that you had either inalienable or unalienable rights. Okay, but if you still hold that belief, then you're kind of crazy, because there are 3 elements that I have defined as a slave or a Jew in Nazi Germany. And the first element is that you do not have the right to private property. If somebody who works for the state can drive past your property and destroy it, and there is absolutely no liability because the legislature says that they have immunity, then I guess you don't actually have the right to private property. Okay? If somebody can rape you for 7 years and you cannot go swear out a warrant for them, not only do you not have the right to private property, you do not have the right to your private body. Okay? If the government can just go and jab you with a needle, which they're talking about maybe doing somewhere, sometime, then you do not have the right to your private body. You do not have a private right to your own body. Okay, so private property is kind of out the window. Like if the state can come by and kick in your door with no search warrant and then make one up and take your offspring that you created, that the Supreme Court has said time and time again is more sacred than your right to property, then you don't have any right to private property. Okay. Now, the next element that I see for a slave, okay, is, or a Jew in Nazi Germany, is that a state official, a overseer, an officer can kill you with absolutely no repercussions. It's like in law, it didn't even happen. Then you are a slave because you have absolutely no right to a access of law. Okay. The third one, right? So private property, killing. What was the third one? Oh, the third one is if someone else can administrate your family without your consent and have absolutely no complaint and no facts upon the record, like ripping children away from their parents and selling them to somebody else, okay, like CPS, DSS, the Family Safes Act that incentivizes states to do this to people, then you are a slave. And all of these things are going on in society right now, everywhere. And people are like, freedom fries.
So, just for the sake of not feeling too hopeless, God, I wish I had like a well-formed question to respond to that. I mean,
Well, I think your first question was pretty well formed. I think that answer was almost immaculate. Because surprise, the government lies.